This is TB Talks and BS Walks. Join the conversation or the BS. Here are the masterminds behind the microphone, Tyler and Brian.
Couple of things here. Since we got Rod on the call, couple things that want to go over, and I'm kind of curious to hear Rod's opinion. We try to cover, current event type of things on the show, and yeah, we tried to cover some things the listeners don't know a couple of days ago, but Brian had some computer audio issues, and we were muted the entire time. Yeah. So after we recorded the whole show, we got nothing. So. Larry Nassar, which some of you guys may know, was the U.S. gymnast team doctor. Mm-hmm. And Rod, I'm sure you heard in the news, he just got sentenced for, they said 150 women stepped forward and described their sexual encounters with Dr. Nassar. And I guess, I don't know how long this went on, but he had already received 60 years in prison for some child pornography charges. And the judge that sentenced him on this case sentenced him to another 40. So she, and I quote, stated, "I just signed your death warrant, possibly looking at up to 175 years in prison," which he's already 52 or 54. So he won't make the 170, I don't believe. But, right. From somebody that, has myself and Rod, who have daughters, it's always a good thing to see justice for people like that. But I can't imagine, what these women went through, because I know, most of them now are adults. But at the time when this happened, I mean, they said they were 6, 7, 8 years old. And, can you imagine going a lifetime, without telling anybody anything? Because I think when you're that age, I think he concealed it by, he was giving them medical examinations. And then, I don't know, I'm sure it traumatized these young girls, but there was one point in the trial where he stated, he was pleading for the judge to stop letting these witnesses come up and give their account, and the judge said, "No, my courtroom's open to everybody that wants to come, talk about what you did." And so I know justice was definitely served in that instance. I'm just kind of, curious to get Rod's thoughts on that. I don't know. I'm sure you followed it, but that whole deal that just went down.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the news and what happened, what went down on there, and unfortunately, I just think it's the tip of the iceberg. That this is probably happening a lot more other places, and this is the one guy that got caught.
Right, and I telling Brian the other day, what a time to be alive. I mean, it just seems like this happens more and more, and with the recent outbreak we've had of celebrity sex scandals and all of these sexual assault cases coming out of the woodwork. I just think it's the time that we're living in. I went back to my old high school yesterday. I had a meeting for Miss Dallas County pageant that I do every year. That's picking up again, getting ready to be in full swing for March. And so I went back to do signups yesterday, and there were students that had neon colored hair. They had holes in their jeans. And I can remember when I was in school, you got a trip to the office and sent home to change, if you wore clothes like that. And now tattoos are allowed. Kids got faces full of piercings. And I talked to one of the ladies on the administration, and she said, well, with all the lawsuits going on now in the school systems and everything like that, with all this equality stuff, they feel that they can't come down on somebody because they have a tattoo or because they have facial piercings or they want to have green hair. Yeah. So, it's what a time to be alive. Things are ever changing. And I can't imagine, Rod, when you were in school, not to not to focus on your age or live on the show, but I can imagine when you were in school that, I mean, you didn't probably even see that kind of thing back then.
Well, you had your rebels and things, but the point back then was we had rules, and you didn't break the rules. The schools had rules,
clear consequences.
Clear consequences. They stuck to the gun, and what has happened is, I think society has done it to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, we've taken away the rules, we've taken away boundaries, and that's what happens. It's kind of like you're going down the highway, and it's a curvy road, and you've got guardrails on the side. Those guardrails aren't there to be mean. They're there for your safety and to help you stay on the road. And when you take the guardrails away, and you come to a curve in the road, you go off the road because there's nothing there to to keep you on the road.
Yep.
And I think society has taken, in the guise of, well, everybody has free speech and free equally this and free expression to do whatever they want and be whoever they want.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking the guide rails of life off, and now everybody's crashing and burning, and that's what you got.
Did you hear that, Brian, and I don't know if you heard this either, did you hear that the NFL rejected a commercial that somebody submitted to be aired during the Super Bowl that was, pretty much talking about, encouraging everybody to stand during the playing of the national anthem, and the NFL rejected it.
Oh, and came out with their own.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, they had done a, we stand for the nation type of thing, and they changed it. We stand for our veterans. So
okay, so I guess it doesn't matter if you live in the United States and value your country. I mean, they're just selecting it too if you've served. Well,
yeah,
I don't know
exactly. It was ridiculous, though. It cut it down from being a patriotic statement to just we stand. It's cool. We stand.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I don't know. I didn't even watch much football this year. I mean, it wasn't worth watching. The ratings went down. After that whole protest started. And I know we had a big show about that. I don't disagree with protest. I just depends on. I guess that's part of the Constitution is you have a right to protest.
Yeah,
but
It's the way you do it.
Here's something about protest. I see on Facebook all these guys that are complaining about the NFL not standing for the national anthem, yet they still watch football.
Yeah.
If you're going to protest, if you're going to take a stand for something, take a stand. Don't just,
Yeah.
about it.
Well, and that's what we discussed too. Was if you're protesting and you have you believe you have a legitimate reason to protest, then protest. I mean, but I think there's a certain way you go about it, but you can't pick and choose how you want to protest it. If you're gonna protest it, go all in and protest it. And everybody said, well, we're not gonna watch any games this year, then, or we're gonna quit watching it. And I don't imagine that happened. The NFL's not hurting for viewers. I don't imagine. So
I'm watching the Super Bowl because I don't like the protests. I'm sorry.
Well,
right. Well, and I mean, I'm excited to see Justin Timberlake at the halftime show. I think that'll be a real treat. He's always killer to watch. I saw he was on Stephen Colbert last week or a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about his halftime performance and said, Justin, last time you were on, I said you've done the Super Bowl halftime show 3 times now, and last time you were on the show, your partner had a wardrobe malfunction. Are we going to see a repeat of that? And he didn't really have much to comment. He just stated that it was going to be a good show, and wasn't expected that to happen. So, but I remember that back when Janet Jackson was with him. That was that picture I think was all over social media, the internet for 6 months
because it was so unplanned.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing I want to talk about, and then I guess we're about there time-wise. Brian, have you got your Amazon key yet? I know you ordered your membership, didn't you?
Oh, no. No.
Rod, have you heard about the Amazon key?
Where they give me a key, I can let them get into my house to drop off my package?
Exactly. So there, you can go to Amazon, and how much did you, Brian? You looked it up. Was it $200?
$250, I believe.
$250 to install a camera system. Okay, and you install the camera system, I guess somewhere where you can view your front porch, and it, Bluetooth or sends a signal to your cell phone when somebody is at your door. I think that there was one of two ways. You could either press a button to unlock your door and let your friendly neighborhood FedEx or UPS man go inside your house to deliver a package. Or, you set up a code and you give them the code ahead of time, and then they just go up to your door and punch in the code and go in and drop your package. Anybody that would do that has lost their mind.
Streamline, secure, not quite.
Attention, hackers.
Yeah, we actually talked about that. I can imagine. I would guarantee there's already somebody that's hacked that they posted a still frame of your empty front porch while they're inside cleaning out your house.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just can't imagine. But we talked about that before we found out that our whole show was ruined because Brian forgot to hit the unmute button. But I can't imagine, somebody paying for something like that. I don't trust anybody that much.
No.
$250
to come rob your house. There you go.
Exactly.
It'd be
Brian,
funnier if they left the package, but everything else was gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, here's your package, but I have a brand new set of home decor that I happened to take while I was there. Brian, what's our time like? Are we out of time?
We're at 35.
35? Okay. I guess about 10 more minutes. Do you have anything, Brian, that you wanted to cover? We got about 10 more minutes, and then we'll...
Well, we covered Nassar, and it brought up to the podcast that I did a while back ago with Aziz Ansari, how that's kind of blowing up, or it did blow up. I don't know if it's been resolved yet, but did you hear about that?
No, I haven't. I haven't followed it.
I stated my concerns on the last podcast, but it concerned me that he was dating this girl, or went out on a date with this girl, and our old saying used to be, one thing led to another, and they had a night, The next day, he received a text message saying that she felt uncomfortable and that he pressured her into the situation, even though she gave him bodily clues.
Exactly.
Nonverbal cues that she didn't want to do anything because no was too difficult, or saying no, or, as I stated before, when did I have a headache not become a good excuse?
Well, like I said, man, that's just, I think all this stuff's coming out of the woodwork now, and it's just all the hypersensitivity issues going on. And I think if anybody thinks they can make a dime off somebody else because of something that happened to them, even if they fully consented to that, my work in law enforcement, showed that as unfortunate as it is, most females have the upper hand in that kind of thing, unless there is, undeniable proof, that it didn't happen. If a female steps forward and says, she felt uncomfortable about any situation, or he said this and I didn't like it, it doesn't take much before, they're coming down on the other party, and so women already have the upper hand in that. I believe, and I think that's just due to the times,
Yeah.
And that's not.
He's helping us at all, though.
No, I don't think so either.
Sitting there.
But,
I'm sorry. I got a story.
Yeah.
So I went to this Chinese buffet, and it was like all you could eat for like $16, and I really wasn't that hungry, but I went to the buffet anyway, and they had all this food that got spread out on the buffet, and I kept going back, and there was just so much food that I just had to keep going back. Well, when I got home, I got sick.
Right.
So, it's the Chinese buffet's fault because
Yeah.
they were the ones that had all the food for me to eat.
Yeah, because they force you to go back.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
If they would not have had all that food out there for me to get, I wouldn't have gone back. I'm sure of that.
Exactly.
You know that kind of reminds me of Billy Bob Thornton was talking about, and I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sure Rod does, but Billy Bob is also an avid musician. When he's not making movies, he has a band called the Boxmasters, and they do kind of country folk kind of stuff. It's different, but he was talking. I was watching something that he did a while back on the TV, and they were talking about his movies, and they said, you made Bad Santa and Bad Santa 2. Yeah, because it was around Christmas time that I was watching this, and they said, that's not really your typical family-friendly Christmas film. But they said, have you ever caught any slack from anybody, because, because of the way that you made your Christmas movies, and he said, yeah, he says I was at a conference one time and we were promoting the first Bad Santa, and he said we were having a Q&A panel, and the lady in the crowd raised her hand, and so they called on her, and she addressed me and said, yeah, Mr. Thornton, do you feel bad at the fact that you have ruined Christmas and the name of Jesus and the Bible because of your disgusting Christmas film? And Billy Bob says, I looked at her and I said, well, ma'am, no one forced you to watch the movie. And secondly, I've read the Bible and Santa Claus ain't in it. and I thought that was, I just that statement that, it just shows the ignorance, I guess, of some people. She thought that, because it was a movie portraying Santa Claus, that it was ruining Christmas and Jesus in the Bible. I don't think Santa Claus's name is mentioned in the Bible at all. So, but, and he's like, no one's forcing you to watch it, we didn't make you turn it on. So, yeah, it's all back to hypersensitivity, man. And, it's back, my comments about President Trump, I think the guy's done a lot of good. I just think he needs an ego check, I think. It seems like he's
Maybe
always
a
doing
Twitter
something.
censor.
Well, and maybe that's it. I don't know, Rod, if you follow Donald Trump on Twitter or not, but it seems to me like that he's always seeking, I don't know, some kind of validation and praise from somebody. And I don't know. He's done a lot of good. I'm not saying he hasn't.
Well, here's my feeling on Trump. He's the first president we've had access to know what he's thinking.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I know that some people are uncomfortable with that because they put the president in a on
a pedestal,
high standard and Crystal Palace, but he's just like the rest of us. He's just got a job different than us. And I like the fact that he does let us know what he's thinking. I don't like the fact that he's not a pushover. And so it's a different ball game than what a lot of people have been used to, and that's why a lot of people voted for him.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the back and forth between him and Kim Jong-un and all of their talk about the nuclear buttons and all of that? Do you think we're headed for a nuclear war?
I don't know. Is there going to be a tornado tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't know, man. God, I don't know.
Here's the way I look at it. With all the stuff that I've been through and the things that I've seen, my faith in God, I pretty much just let Him take care of it. I don't worry about it. I just make sure that I'm good with Him, and making sure, I treat everybody else good and treat them like I want to be treated. And I don't worry about what everybody else is doing. I may not like it, but hey, that's between them and God. So
well, and that's I think we can. I think we'll all agree on that. All right, last thing, Brian. What are our Twitter followers at right now? What are we up
I
to?
will have to bring that up. It was 85 last time.
Have we,
checked,
have
but
we
that was
hit?
about
We
a
haven't hit
week
100
ago.
yet. The magic number is 100.
Not quite yet.
Just to keep you guys in, once we hit 100 follows on Twitter, we are going to give away some podcast swag. We're going to choose one of those followers. We're going to have a drawing, and we're going to choose one of you. And you will receive your choice of a hoodie, a T-shirt, or a hat. It will have our podcast logo on it that Brighton's lovely wife designed for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so keep the follows coming on Twitter. And maybe if we start getting a massive amount of viewers, maybe Rob will give us a shout out on the morning show for our podcast and promote our show.
Follow me on Twitter if you want to see what I have to say. Rod on the radio.
Rod on the radio.
Link
and
below.
be sure and catch him. I said on the morning show. Are you Monday through Friday?
Yes.
Okay. Be sure to check him out. Rod, thanks so much, man, for being on the show today. It was a treat to have you.
Well, thanks for having me on.
And like I said, please keep us updated on your journey with your kidney transplant, and we wish you the best of luck. And so we're going to post the link one more time in the description of the video, and you guys will be able to click on that. We'll post Rod's name and the website, and if you guys have 5 minutes and have even a couple bucks to spare, I know it goes a long way. So, Rod, thanks again for being on the show, and since you're here, I'm going to ask you to give us an outro. Give us your best radio outro that they tuned in and watched the show today.
Okay, now, the name of the show is what? BNS?
It's TB Talks and BS Walks.
Okay, TB Talks and BS Walks.
So give us your best radio outro, and then Brian, you cut it when he's done. You cut it.
All right.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to TB Talks and BS Walks. I think that's how we say it.
And that's
Anyway,
how we say it.
Tune in again next week. Find out what BS and TS is saying.